While reading a U.S. history textbook can be very interesting, it is way more fascinating to learn about the contributions of those individuals who were not permitted to be part of the dominant narrative. Lucretia Mott was a Quaker feminist and abolitionist who positively impacted early U.S. history. She was born in Nantucket, Massachusetts, from 1793 until 1880. She entered the Friends boarding school at 13 years old in New York, where she became a teacher at 15 years old. At this young age, Lucretia learned about inequalities where she noticed female faculty were paid less than their male counterparts. At 28 years old, she became an official minister in the Society of Friends, where she was vocal about the intolerance within her own Quaker community. Now, what was Lucretia Mott's significance in U.S. history? Although the dominant narrative consists of men's achievements, Lucretia Mott positively impacted early U.S. history by spreading pacifism, advocating for anti-slavery, and fighting for women's rights. Lucretia Mott believed in the spreading of pacifism and use of moral force as a way to achieve justice, as her final goal was to find liberation for the oppressed. She claimed, "There is no true peace that is not funded on justice and right." In her sermon for the medical students in 1849, she discusses the errors of current society, religious deprivation, and proclaims religion as universal, believing in the innate goodness in people. Nonetheless, she asks, how far you are found lending your section to a system which degrades and brutalizes 3 millions of her fellow beings, encouraging the audience to pay close attention to their responsibility in a society that hurts people. Lucretia motivates her audience to rethink their actions and reflect on their own beliefs. While the current society economically benefited from slavery, Lucretia challenged common ideals and stimulated the spectators to join her in the cause. She advocated for righteousness through discussion and persuasion. It was her journey to spread justice that introduced her to abolitionism. Lucretia was aware of the evils of the system of slavery and sought to attack institutions which continued their enslavement. She was inspired to join the rising free produce movement when she encountered a march of chained slaves along their owners. This consisted of refraining from consuming any goods produced by enslavement, in order to boycott the economy that depended on slave labor. Lucretia offered her home as a station of the Underground Railroad, assisting fugitive slaves who sought to travel to free states. She also offered her home to hold 1942's anti-slavery fair used to raise funds and gain attention. This caused many to join the movement, including women. When women became involved in the fight for the freedom of slaves, they soon realized the obstacles to their own freedom and began to fight for their rights. Lucretia claimed women's degradation was attributable to the fact that she was defined not by herself, but by society. Here, she encourages women to challenge the standards and norms that define their value and establish their responsibilities. In this quote, Lucretia showcases an understanding of how society's attempts to subjugate women are simply superficial and implemented to benefit men who always sought to be in power. After being denied a seat in the World's Anti-Slavery Convention, Lucretia responded by organizing, along with Elizabeth Stanton, the Seneca Falls Convention, where the Declaration of Sentiments was signed. This was based on Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, where the word woman was added when he stated that all men are created equal. This occasion permitted for the founding of the women's rights movement. During Lucretia's time period, most individuals benefited from warfare, slavery, and the subjugation of women, as it allowed for economic betterment and establishment of power. Lucretia advocated for the use of pacifism as a way to acquire justice, fought for the abolition of slavery, and set a foundation for the women's rights movement. In further explorations of early U.S. history, it's important to focus on those stories of people not included in textbooks, because many individuals who did not have equal opportunities at the time influence history but are not commonly mentioned.